Hey, in case anyone is still tuning into my channel, as the tragic comedy on in Washington unfolds, here is a little excerpt from the New York Times, which was published this morning. It's Sunday, and it's Sunday here, and so I will read you a few paragraphs from this article. My gosh, I wouldn't want to violate copyright issues here, The intonations of my voice while I'm reading this are, of course, entirely my own. And they will probably speak for themselves, aside from the snide little remarks that I will continue to make. Congressional leaders and the Bush administration reached a tentative agreement early Sunday on what may become the largest financial bailout in American history, authorizing the Treasury to purchase $700 billion in troubled debt from ailing firms in an extraordinary intervention to prevent widespread economic collapse. Officials said that congressional staff members would work through the night to finalize the language of the agreement and the draft bill, and that the bill would be brought to the House floor for a vote on Monday. The bill includes pay limits for some executives whose firms seek help, aides said. And it requires the government to use its new role as owner of distressed mortgage-backed securities to make more aggressive efforts to prevent home foreclosures. Distressed mortgage-backed securities are a euphemism for worthless shit, by the way. In some cases, the government would receive an equity stake in companies that seek aid, allowing taxpayers to profit should the rescue plan work and the private firms flourish in the months and years ahead. The White House also agreed to strict oversight of the program by a congressional panel and conflict of interest rules for firms hired by the Treasury to help run the program. The administration had initially requested virtually unfettered authority to operate the bailout program, but as they moved forward towards clinching a deal, both sides appeared to have given up a number of contentious proposals, including a change in the bankruptcy laws sought by some Democrats to give judges the authority to modify the terms of first mortgages for first-time buyers and principal residences. So what exactly did the other side agree on here? Congressional leaders and Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson, Henry Paulson seems to be a common household name these days, emerged from behind closed doors to announce the tentative agreement at 12:30 a.m. on Sunday. After 2 days of marathon meetings, we have made great progress towards a deal which will work and be effective in the marketplace, Mr. Paulson said. Well, certainly not the marketplace of ideas, Mr. Paulson. All of this was done in a way to insulate Main Street and everyday Americans from the crisis on Wall Street, Ms. Pelosi said at a news conference. We have to commit it to paper, so we can finally agree. But what I want to congratulate everyone on is all of the negotiations that have gone forward and for the great work that has been done. Committed to paper. A senior administration official who participated in the talks said the deal was effectively done. I know of no unresolved open issues for principals, the official said. And you know how the word principles was spelled in this article by the New York Times? It was spelled Principals instead of principles, Principles. Just thought I might throw that in. In announcing a tentative agreement, lawmakers and the administration achieved their goal of sending a reassuring message ahead of Monday's opening of the Asian financial markets, which, by the way, will drop our currency anyway. This is something that all of us will swallow hard and go forward with, Mr. McCain said in an interview on ABC's This Week. The option of doing nothing is simply not an option. In other words, the biggest blowjob of all. Mr. Obama, in a statement, said, when taxpayers are asked to take such extraordinary steps because of the irresponsibility of a relative few, it is not a cause for celebration, but this step is necessary. In other words, keep swallowing even after the sperm bank runs dry. The backing of the presidential candidates will be crucial to congressional leaders seeking to generate votes for the bailout plan among lawmakers, and especially those up for re-election in November. This is mentioned at the very last part of this article. The general public has bristled at the notion of risking $700 billion in taxpayer funds to address mistakes on Wall Street, and many constituents have urged their elected officials to vote against the plan. Among the last sticking points was an unexpected and bitter fight over how to pay for any losses that taxpayers may experience after distressed debt, in other words, worthless paper, has been purchased and resold. Democrats had pushed for a fee on securities transactions, essentially a tax on financial firms, saying it was fitting that they contribute to the cost. In the end, lawmakers and the administration opted to leave that decision to the next president, saying it was fitting that they contribute to the cost. Maybe. Not much else to say here. Aides described a tense meeting on Saturday afternoon, and people shouting about executive pay caps. Outside the halls of Congress, there were some tourists who were taken aback visiting the Capitol, and they watched as camera operators shoved one another to get footage of lawmakers talking outside of the meeting room. At one point, when too much information was leaking out, staff members' BlackBerries were confiscated and collected in a trash bin. Trash bin is the operative word. Welcome to the new American century.